Good afternoon. Welcome to Architecture and Environmental Design Program, Winter 2015, Smart Mapping. What I'm going to show you right now are basically the basic commands you need to do your personal project. I'm going to teach you how to buffer. This is a buffer when you put a circle around a dot. I'm going to show you how to select a polygon from a given polygon, like the zip codes. I'm going to show you how to create a layer for an existing or selected dot, like this is a library inside 90011. So I'm going to show you all those operations, and then I'm going to show you how you can basically bring data from multiple resources and the importance of a taxonomy. There's previous 3 or 4 videos that I generated towards you learning enough to create your personal projects for site analysis and for neighborhood analysis. That is usually what urban planners, architects, landscape architects do for economic development and workforce development. So as you guys know, right here on the table of content, there's many ways to bring data, right? One way that you can bring data is by turning on your search command and typing down here the type of spatial data. Now, the bad thing about these ArcGIS Online, there's also a lot of data that is not as reliable. There's a lot of data that is really not there. So there's a little bit of questionable issues about utilizing data from the ArcGIS Online. It's just like an open dictionary. But what you should all know is that actually there are organizations like the Federal Geographic Data Committee, where actually creates all the standards for geospatial information, and here you can see some of the standards and some of available data. You can also go to a local agencies or local nonprofit organizations like Healthy Cities, and here on their data you can download a lot of this data into your personal software. And then here it's National Spatial Data. Now, so the way to look for this data, what you need to type here, spatial data. That's one way to do it. Or you also can type here geospatial data. And then you're going to have census.gov. You're going to have the Department of Geography. You're going to have a gateway. Look at this one. Geospatial Data Gateway, Department of Agriculture, Department of Labor, Department of Housing. Basically, because right now the mandate called open data, every single government agency has to make available data for you to bring it into your own personal maps. Because it's until you bring it into your own personal maps that you can probably express, research, and manipulate the data that is specific to your query of what you want to do. So to rephrase all of these, there's multiple sources that you can bring data from the ArcGIS Online Directory, from government agencies, and also some from the local data that we have here at Los Angeles State Technical College Architecture Program. So that's very important. But what is very important for me to do, and it's been a little bit difficult because not having access to our local GIS server, is that I want you guys to learn how to organize your data for a sustainable city, for a sustainable solution. And the idea here is that every time that you bring a data, I want you to organize it by your data layers. So the next one, you will have 2 other data layers. And this is basically what I believe will facilitate an integrated approach. And then the next one will be ecology. So if you're going to bring things for the river, where will it go? Under ecology. If you're going to know about census data, it will go under economy. The river will go under ecology. If you want to know about, for example, in this case, where the libraries are, it will go under education. So once you bring the data, either through our catalog, to ArcGIS Online, through a government agency, you start organizing your basic data that every government agency, every private organization, market on the date today In 5 years, I guarantee you, everybody, just like everybody utilizes PowerPoint, everybody's going to have a local spatial data inside to make decisions. So a lot is going to be a lot about location, location, location. So what we did here, we went and from the previous emails, we basically typed Los Angeles, LA County, and notice here under the environment. This is basically what we got from an existing database. So how do you actually identify under all the zip codes? We want to identify only one zip code. So we can turn off all the other zip codes, and then we can say this is a 3-mile radius around that library, right? And we did something similar here under economy. You turn off the libraries. See, this is what is called a buffer. This buffer is 3 feet. So I'm going to show you how you can make 2 feet, 3 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet. And then after that, once you have your area, your polygon, you have your buffer, you have your center, you can bring as many layers of information as you want. You can bring, if you go under healthy cities, this is what sometimes is the problem. This data is not necessarily on shapefiles. Many times you have to write them an email, like the Los Angeles GIS County. You write them an email and they will show you where they have the data. So what type of data do we want? We want shapefiles. Because whatever, even that this is super cool, and they have a very robust data, economic data. Notice how it's similar to our own taxonomy, right? Child welfare. This data is on their cloud. We cannot bring this data into ours. Notice death rate. So you probably want to do a study on your area about infant death rate. You will probably have to send them an email and ask them to send you the shapefile of the particular data that you want. I don't know, you can explore the site and see if there's actually a repository of all their shapefiles files. Because that's the only way you can bring this data, right? Or I don't know, maybe here you can download it. So that's kind of the things you gotta explore. Federal agencies, non-profit organizations, everybody that creates web GIS portals, GIS repositories, and you want to utilize that data for your own personal map, you need to find out if you can get the shapefile into it. So just really quick, I mentioned in the other videos, if you have right here, I'm going to turn that off, and you want to select a zip code, it's actually relatively easy. You're going to open the attribute table, and you're going to highlight, these are called your records, and you're going to point on the end, and you got to click on this little square, and that will highlight that particular zip code. Now, if that's called selecting by the tabular data, you could also select by attribute. You can go there and go into the zip codes and actually say from this field equal, get all the unique values. This is another way that you can say, I want 9004. And then you can also say, or zip codes equal 9006. So you can have here as many zip codes as you want based on whatever your study is going to be. And then once you say OK, then see that creates another 2 zip codes. And then once you have that one, you go under the zip code layer, and then you say selection, create a layer from the selected features. So the bright blue are your selected features, and that's how you can generate a third one. Now in this case, I just want to clear it, and I was just showing you how you were going to do it, because we already have created that straight text zip code right there. So that's the same way that you do it for the library. The same way you have here libraries, you turn off the buffer, you turn off library Vernon, and then here, this I brought it from the ArcGIS Online. Now, how do I get, because at the beginning I only had all the libraries. So let me zoom, and basically these are all the libraries. I believe here is only of the Los Angeles city. So how do I get this to show on my left under my table of content? You're gonna click here libraries twice, and then the most important dialog box comes up. That's why it's called layer properties. And under the layer properties, you have general, where you identify the name. And then this is very important. This is what people call metadata. Describe your layer, because the next time that somebody uses your layer, they'll find out where you got that layer. Then here under symbiology, this is where you can actually change the symbol. And this is when you choose advanced, or you click here twice on the left button. Here you can have all the different symbols that you can identify. And if you want even more, you can type here style references, and there's even more symbols that you can select for your table of content and for your legend. All right? Now, let's say that now I want to get all my schools. So when you go, let's say you're familiar with your tabular data, and you're going to go under the categories of your tabular data and the unique values of each of the fields. So you know that under the field name, you have here your 799 high schools in LA City. So when you said add value of name, it's going to spell out all the different libraries, I'm sorry, not high schools, that are in LA City. You say apply, okay, and that's it. So what we did here is that you had all these different libraries, but you actually want to separate. You want to only make one for one of these libraries, similar to what I did here. I want to separate that library and make that one my unique point, like we did with this one. So when you turn that off, that's a library, and that's why we were able to buffer. So how do we do that? Similar to what I just said with the libraries. You're going to go into the selection, and then here you're going to go into the libraries, and then here you're going to select the field name, get all unique values, and then you choose the one that you want. So you're going to say, okay, I want Fairfax. So you say equal Fairfax, apply, and remember what we're doing, we are selecting an attribute from a given layer. And you say apply, okay, and that's your new layer. Now, once this is your new layer, that doesn't necessarily make it a unique or a separate layer like this library burden. What you need to do, you right click, right? And then you're going to say selection, create a layer from the selected features. And that's the way, once you do that, notice here how it went up. Now we can turn off all the libraries. And notice how now you have here a library in Fairfax, right? So now I want to say, so I have my library in Vernon, I have my buffer here, and now I'm going to do a buffer in the library in Fairfax. The first thing is I'm going to call these, instead of just call it library selection, you have to start thinking about your layers, right? And then we want to bring it down. And this is basically what is called knowledge architecture. How do you organize your layer? So does it make sense that it stands up there? No. You got to download it, bring it down, right? And put it probably next to where we have the library. So all you need to do, you drag it, left button, and you put it with the rest of the libraries. So you close that, and maybe you want to put it right there, right? So then here I have libraries that are unique as a layer. The next thing I'm going to show you how to do is how to create that buffer around Fairfax. So you're going to go here under geoprocessing, left button, click, and you're going to buffer that library Fairfax. And I want to see library Fairfax. I want to see, in this case, I'm going to say, I want you to create a circle around it. Let's say nobody can really walk more than 1 mile, right? And that's already, if you don't have a nice landscape, a nice terrain, nobody wants to walk more than 1 mile. But usually that's what most urban planners think is reasonable to walk. So I want to know who are all my students, all my communities around my library at Fairfax. So you're going to say, okay. And then it should be doing it. I think I just clicked the default. It's thinking. There you go. So do you notice that buffer? Probably here I did 5 miles from the center of this Vernon library. So you notice right there, I need to zoom in a little bit more. And there is your 1 mile radius from your First Fact High School. Now here, once you have it there, if you say CO buffer, that probably doesn't make a lot of sense, right? So what you want to write it down here, you want to say 1 mile buffer around Fairfax Library. And then you want to put it, you know, under the right one. Then this one, you want to do the same. Consistency is very important for design. Buffer around, now is this 1 mile? No, I think it was probably 10 miles or 5 miles. I'm going to have to go verify. Apply. Okay. So let me close this one. Now that I have this 1 mile, I don't want it to be solid because then I cannot see my zip code behind it. So what you do, you go back to the layer property, you go to Symbiology left, and then the symbol, you click it twice, and then you want to change the fill in color and you want to make it transparent, no color. And then here, this is where art starts getting very handy because you want to make contrast. And if you have blue, maybe let's make this one red. Contrast of blue. Okay, apply. Okay, so now it's transparent. Now you can see the zip code behind it. So now you have a buffer. I show you how to create a buffer. I show you how to separate a record from an existing database. And then the last operation that I'm going to give you is how do you create a polygon. So let's say that yes, that is the zip code. But for whatever reason, my developer has a different kind of polygon, a grant, or sometimes other variables. They're going to say, I want to study a different polygon that is not a zip code, is not a council district, is not a neighborhood council. I just have a special polygon that I'm going to study around the First Fact High School. So what you do, you go here under the draw. This is not automatically turned on. So to turn on that toolbar, you're going to go right click, and then you're going to turn on the draw command. So literally drawing here, you're going to be drawing a polygon that for whatever reasons, they want you to analyze and study. Like yesterday we say Jordan Downs, Lemur Park, they develop polygons of study, right? And they say, well, we're going to study. And that can be sometimes a little bit tricky because you have zip codes, you have tracks, you have blocks, you have, all of these are what I call regulating lines. So this is just another polygon to regulate the way we govern, the way we participate, and that's why maps are so important. So we're going to go click twice, and that creates a graphic. Now this is only a graphic, it's not a layer yet. How do we convert this into a layer? Very simple, you go back to your drawing toolbar, and here it says convert the graphics to a feature. Feature meaning a layer. And then notice here, line graphics, library Fairfax. And then technically here, later on we can change it because this is a polygon around the library Fairfax. And you say, okay. It says, do you want to add the new data map as a layer? Yes. Okay, so now notice how it made it converted graphic. So now I can go back to my map and delete this graphic, but I made my graphic into a layer. Now this layer doesn't mean anything, converted graphics, so then we need to change the name under general, and then we need to say area of study for McDonald's investment plan. I'm just saying, and then you say apply. Okay. So with these simple tools, you guys now can create so much. Because after this, you can bring all the libraries, you can bring all the census data, demographic, businesses, all the data that is out there. You can customize them by knowing these very simple skills inside GIS that you cannot do anywhere else in any portal. You can select your own polygon, you can create your own polygon, you can select your own item, and those three things are very powerful because those are the things that are going to let you customize any geospatial database. After that, it will be, once you know how to select, create, buffer, and separate a record, then you can bring anything you want. Then you can go back here under the search command or go under healthy cities, and then you can bring housing data, right? Child welfare, deaths, environment, neighborhood and community, libraries, traffic safety, park use, and California Health Interview, data available by LA County. You click on that, you get the layer, you bring it into your catalog, and then you bring it into your area of study. But you cannot make an area of study until you know these very basic commands: buffer, selection, separation of records, and bringing data from multiple resources, your ArcGIS Online, your government agencies, and most importantly, if there's something you guys that are part of our school of thought to organize, so this one you will have to actually bring it underneath here under economy, right? Probably at this point, once you start creating your own project, probably will put it under the libraries. You have to start creating what I call parent-child relationships, and these will facilitate the empowerment of a community, of an architect or a landscape architect. Thank you.